Welcome to the 25, brought to you by Surrey County Cricket Club. My name is Jon Surtees. I'm sat here with the great Mark Church, with the great Yas Rana and Surrey legend Kirstie White, as we will be taking you through numbers 15 through 11 on the list of the top 25 Surrey men's cricketers of the 21st century. Some hot takes sure to come. There'll be lots of correspondence, I think, so please do let us know what you think about the panel's opinions at Surrey Cricket on all the social media formats that you use. But before we get started with that, let me just tell you that Surrey membership for the 2026 season is still available. Did you know that Surrey CCC is run by its members? So if you become a member now, you could soon be standing for General Committee, having a real voice on major club decisions. Don't have the time to stand? You can still vote for your favoured candidates in the election coming up. So yeah, Surrey County Cricket Club is a genuinely democratic organisation, and if you become a member, you can be a full part of that, as well as getting tickets for every day of Surrey cricket in the 2026 season. KiaOval.com/membership for all your details on that. On with the 25. All right, episode 3 of the 25. Here we go. Jon Surtees here with Mark Church, with Yas Rana, with Kirstie White, as I said. So, to take you through where we've gone so far, number 25 was Zafar Ansari, number 24, Tom Curran, 23, Jade Dernbach, 22, Will Jacks, 21, Jamie Smith, number 20 was Morne Morkel, number 19 was Ben Foakes, number 18, Ollie Pope, number 17, Jordan Clarke, number 16, Rikki Clarke, and number 15 is Dan Worrall. Churchy, Dan Worrall, what a cricketer.
Yeah, and I think what I would say about Dan Worrall was when he arrived at Surrey, I didn't realise how good he was. I think what we'd seen with him at Gloucester is he was having to play in all forms of the game. I think he was absolutely shattered, but his skill set is on another level. And I think, as I say, look, I'll let Yas and Kirstie talk about D Worrall a bit more, but the impact he's had at Surrey again is just been incredible. And I think what he would say is he owes a bit to Surrey as well, in the fact that he doesn't have to play all the time. They can rest and rotate, and I think we've seen the best of D Worrall. But as I say, I was blown away by him. I'd seen him for Gloucester, and yeah, he looked a good bowler, don't get me wrong, but I had absolutely no concept what he was like with the new ball, with the old ball. And the great thing about him as well is he's just a really good fella. And my last thing is, I said this about Jade Dernbach, I want to do another podcast on the batting of D Worrall, who never takes guard. He's never taken guard in his life and borrows everybody else's kit, and he can actually bat.
He can wallow it, yeah.
It was always a fun game when he walks out to bat, trying to work out whose kit is he using. I think he is one of the most skillful bowlers I've seen in domestic cricket. Quite often people say, oh, he's someone who gets a lot of swing, as if swing is something that is available for all bowlers at equal measure. He gets the ball to swing more because of how skillful he is. I've never seen him bowl with a ball of any age and he's not got it to swing. The way he sets players up, there's no better setter up of a batter in the country than Dan Worrall. And I think if you zoom out and look bigger picture across Surrey's history, Surrey, I think, is a club that, broadly speaking, has produced more great batters than great bowlers. And I think that at times for Surrey, they haven't quite got over the line historically because they haven't had the firepower with the ball to take 20 wickets consistently. And a big part of the three-peat between 22 and 24 was just how relentless Dan Worrall, alongside someone we were talking about earlier, Jordan Clarke, were. They're basically on the park every week. Not quite the same level in 2025 for Worrall, but on the park most weeks and truly prolific. And he's a massive, massive part of the 3 wins in a row.
Kirstie, I just wanted to say there's a lot said and a lot of it badly I think badly directed about some of the perceived advantages that Surrey might have as a club because of some of the commercial success that is generated off the field, and you know, some people who don't necessarily understand how things like salary caps and how the system, you know, how fairness in the system is protected, but one of the things with Dan Worrall, like Churchy said, is that ability to not play him all the time in every format of the game, and allow him to specialise in that way, just to be that incredibly destructive red ball bowler. It is a luxury that Gareth Batty and Rory Burns have had to play him in that way.
Yeah, and it's a luxury that you have to use really cleverly as well, because with that there's the risk of actually him coming into games undercooked, and a player like Dan Worrall, you know what you're going to get from him. He is pure class, and every time he bowls, or you feel that he's about to take a wicket. He's just one of those players. He's so skillful that he's just going to grind out. He will grind out overs for you at any stage. But yeah, he is fortunate in that sense, but that doesn't mean that he's always going to be primed and ready to go. So actually, the coaching team and the support staff have to make sure that with his rest, he's still getting his overs in. He's still really being looked after. He's still travelling up and down the country, the same as the other players are. But yeah, I think he's an incredible player to have in your armoury as a bowler, and like he will just pick you up wickets whenever you need.
Hell of a cricketer, Dan Worrall. Okay. Now we'll move on to the next on our list. So Dan Worrall was 15, which means the next one, by dint of numeracy, is number 14. And
well done.
Thank you, Churchy. Thank you so much. It still means just getting a well done from Churchy, no matter what I do. It means more than you can imagine. Counting down the numbers, we get to number 14. Dominic Sibley, another player who has been absolutely critical in recent years. Another player not dissimilar to Rikki Clarke, who we were talking about in the last episode, who has gone away and come back again. But yeah, another player who's fundamentally one of our own.
When he's at his best, I don't think opposition bowling attacks know what to do, and I think that's the biggest compliment you can give to a batter. I think since coming back to the club, his game has gone to another level. He's expanded his offside game. He's more fluent than he was before against spin, more fluent than he was before through the covers. And I don't know where you're supposed to bowl against Dom Sibley, and he's been a totally key figure of the 3 title wins of the title challenge in 2025. His numbers are always good. But I think his effect on the team is more than the numbers portray, because of just how regularly he gets through the new ball, and there's so many stroke players beneath him in the batting order, and his ability to make sure he's basically always there after 20 overs means that the guys below him have an easy time of it. Yeah,
Churchy, some of the numbers as well. With Dom, he plays some of those innings that people just can't quite believe that they're doing that happen. So 220 not out, aged 18. 140 not out of 415 balls as Surrey chased down 501. The triple century earlier this year. They're feats that, again, if you were just to put yourself in the shoes of a regular cricket fan just sat there watching, you look at someone like Jamie Smith and Will Jackson, you just think, I cannot and will never be able to hit the ball like that. You look at Dom Sibley and you just think, I do not have it in me to play world-class sport at that level for that amount of time. He's just one of those players that just does feats that are unimaginable to the normal human.
He loves batting. That's the thing, and he's a greedy little what's it. And if he gets in, he's not going anywhere. And with the 300, I think we were about 45 minutes in, and people were checking record books straight away for Bobby Abel. People were talking about it. Again, I talked about Rikki Clarke going to Warwickshire when D. Sibley went to Warwickshire. I think D. Sibley learned his game at Warwickshire and then came back to Surrey. He was always coming back to Surrey. Rikki Clarke was always going to end up coming back to Surrey. He is, just as Yaz said, he is the definition of reassurance. I would have thought that whoever's batting at 3 probably thinks, well, at least I can have my feet up for a little bit of time here. I'm not going to be straight out there. So I completely see why D. Sibley is where he is in this list.
I think for me as well, there's a lot of players in county championship, and you go to look at scorecards. Your natural instinct is to say, oh, how many runs did X get today? How many runs? With Dom Sibley, it's different. It's it's, you know, well, oh, actually, no, sorry, let me change that. It's did they get any runs today? With Dom Sibley, it's how many runs did he get today? There's the expectation that he will have scored runs. It's just a case of how many is it today? Like, especially at the front end of the season that we've just been through, you know, down at Sussex, scoring he started the season so well. It was just, he was, like we said, in the record books, you know, everyone was checking the archives so early in the season. It's April and think we're talking about records being broken.
Yeah, and just so when they do play for Surrey, when you have players like Jamie Smith and Will Jacks, even players like Jordan Clarke down the order, to have Sibley at the top of the order, dulling it, and taking the shine off that ball, and then being able to have guys that can come in and bat at the pace of those guys down the order is just, as an opposition, something that will just drive you into the dirt. I really think it is. So we're just going to move on now to the next number on the list, number 13 on the list. It's another Surrey opener. It is possibly the cheese to Dom Sibley's chalk, or the chalk to Dom Sibley's cheese, whatever which way you wanna say it. It's another player who is one of our own. Another player who there was a great deal of excitement about as he was coming through the system, and someone that's done similarly but differently to Dom Sibley, extraordinary things in a Surrey shirt. Number 13, Jason Roy.
Yeah, I mean, he's got basically 1,500 more T20 runs for Surrey than anyone else, which is really good. Striking at nearly 150, which, given when he first started playing professional T20 cricket back in the 2000s, is some going. And also, I know that Church is going to be keen to say this, bloody good red ball player as well. Someone who averaged best part of 40 for a really long time in first-class cricket. I think that side of his career, similar to a Tom Curran career arc, where towards as the years went, became more of a white ball player. You forget how effective a red ball player Jason Roy has been for a long time. I know he played a little bit this season after a long time out of the red ball team, but a mightily effective red ball cricketer, and I think everyone knows just how good a white ball player he is.
Yeah, Churchy, he was the absolute star of the show in what I suppose now you almost look back at things as a sort of golden era of T20 at the Kia Oval. Sold out nights. You had Jason Roy and Aaron Finch walking out to open the batting. I think that era peaked, didn't it, on that night against Middlesex in 2018, when Middlesex got 220 plus, and Surrey knocked it off in 16 overs with Roy and Finch. I think Finch batted all the way through. Jace just got out, but I mean that was, he's just one of those, again, like you saw Roy 20 on the back of the shirt walking out, floodlights on, sold out Kia Oval. You knew something special was going to happen.
Well, I remember, I think it was he was the first Surrey player to get a T20 100. 2010, I think it was his second game at Beckenham against Kent.
Yeah.
And he just smashed it. And again, another one where you sort of sat there and thought, ooh, this could be interesting. But Yaz said it there. He was a good red ball player as well. He really was, and he sort of got bumped up and down the order. He formed actually a very good opening partnership with Steve Davis. Those two batted really well together in terms of Championship cricket. But I think really it's what he's done in 2020 and T20 and in one day cricket as well. That people will look at, and that I didn't know that stat that you just said about he's got 1,500 more runs than anybody else in terms of T20. And I think the other thing to mention with Jace again is his fielding. He's a brilliant fielder. He's getting on a bit now, and he won't mind me saying that, but he's still a brilliant fielder. And yeah, I think Jason Roy sort of epitomises the T20 era that we're now in. And I think, when England shook it up and he came in, House came in, those guys all came in, I think you saw the modern player, but Jason was doing that before a lot of those lads were doing it. So yeah, just a wonderful, wonderful player.
With the Red Bull, shout out to that game against Leicestershire in 2015, which will be largely remembered by a lot of people as Kevin Peterson getting 355. Yeah, you threw in the name of Bobby Abel when we were talking about Dom Sibley. That was when no one.
Don't forget Matthew Dunn's won.
No, absolutely. Matthew Dunn's won, and I think Tremlett put on 100 with him as well.
Did he?
I think he did. And that was when no one at the Kia Oval could everyone knew what the Bobby Abel record was that week. So that, I think, will be, most people will think about KP 355, but actually for me, the most extraordinary thing about that game was the fourth inning. Surrey were chasing, I think they'd set us 220 odd to win off about 22 overs, which is a mad chase in T20. And this is, say, 2015, when that was a lot of runs. I mean, it still is a lot of runs in T20, but in 2015, that was a lot of runs in T20. And this was in a first-class game, so there were no fielding restrictions, and everyone could be stuck on the boundary wherever they wanted to. And Jason Roy and Steve Davies came out and played a part that was almost more extraordinary than what he did with Finch 3 years later.
Hero Charlie Shrek almost walked off at that point. He'd been battered by Kevin Peterson and then those two. And I think, did they chase it down? Is it like 18 overs or something ridiculous?
Yeah, I think there were double-figure balls remaining.
But there you go again. There was Jason doing that in the red ball, which we're now seeing England doing in Test cricket. So, and I always felt a bit sorry for Jason as well. I always wanted him to play Test match cricket, but not opening the batting.
Yeah,
I didn't want him opening the bat. Absolutely, in an Ashes series as 100%.
Well. 100%, and also more generally, in a more enlightened England era, he's making his debut 5 years before he actually did for England.
Number 12, a man who crossed over at the end of his career, crossed over with the start of Jason Roy's career. Another one who is fundamentally one of our own, who's gone on to do great things in the his post-professional career as well, and one of the country's finest broadcasters. Lucky to have him on the Surrey YouTube streams, some of the games early this year for a few days. Number 12, Mark Butcher. Kirstie, I'm going to start with you. Start with you on this. What a cricketer.
Yeah, I think for me, Mark Butcher is an icon of the game, isn't he? And growing up as a very, very young player, I didn't see much of him as a Surrey player. I just saw him as an international player, and batting. I think did he bat 3? Or did he open the batting for England? Yeah, and he was that batter that actually, even though he was left-handed, you would just watch and think, wow, this is what I aspire to be. He could just accumulate runs. And even now, the quality that he brings in terms of his knowledge, even when you watch him doing some of his punditry and how he still understands the game and knows the game so well. I think he's always been such a classy player. I don't really think there's any other way to describe him, really.
One of the things I love about Butch, I think he represents. There's a really deep seam of Surrey players who have, how should we say this, not necessarily, not had a problem with authority, but like to do things their own way. They don't necessarily like to be told what they should and shouldn't be doing, and Butcher is such a brilliant example of that. There's a story that Adam Hollyoake told me about when him and Adam Hollyoake were on their they both signed their first professional contract on the same day, and they'd come through together, signed their pro contracts on the same day, and they were on a Surrey pre-season tour in the early 90s in the Middle East, and a senior player knocked on the door and told them that their job on this pre-season tour was to make sure that nobody knew their name when they got home again. It was they didn't explain exactly how that should manifest, but I think it's fair to say that you couldn't have chosen two worse people to say that to than Adam Hollyoake and Mark Butcher, and Churchy, that was what Butcher sort of carried through his career, wasn't it? It was that sort of unrelenting desire to do things his own way.
Yeah, I think what we've got to remember is we're talking about this century, and I think Butch, he captained Surrey at a really tough time as well. What was it, 4 years, 05 to 09? And a lot of that time he was injured as well. That's the other thing. But he still scored his runs, and he still led from the front, and he's still one of the most elegant left-handers you will ever see out in the middle. And I think, he won the championship in 2000, won the championship in 2002. But captain Surrey at a difficult time. But as Kirstie said, he's an icon of this place. A lot of people would have seen what he did for England, and he opened for England, he batted 3 for England. But on his day, I don't think there was probably a better batter in the country. What was fascinating as well was the fact that he said that sort of T20 for him opened him up completely as well, in the fact that I think it was Usman Afzal. He said he wandered in one day and he was doing something called range hitting, and Butch was like, well, what's that? And he goes, just smash every ball. And Butch was like, whoa, I'll have some of that. And it freed him up. But yes, I think if you're looking at what Mark Butcher did, not only with the bat, but as a captain, and around the club itself, I think he is one of those names that will always be right up there.
And I think it's an important point that Churchy made as well. When do let us know. We're at Surrey Cricket on all major social media networks. Do let us know what you think about this list, because this is actually the top 25 Surrey players of the 21st century. So Butcher signed his first professional Surrey deal, I think in 91, 92, very early on, and was a gun throughout the 90s as well. And obviously made a lot of his most famous England contributions in that late 90s team as well. But this is introduction. This number 12 on our list is purely for his contributions in this century, which were also extraordinary. Number 11, final name on episode 3. We've had his brother, and there are a few Surrey brothers, so you don't necessarily know who this is going to be, but when his brother was coming through, one of the things I always felt was slightly unfair, and I felt slightly sorry for his brother, was that his brother was coming through and being brilliant and really sort of setting a standard and would demonstrate that he was going to be a very, very fine player for Surrey going forward for many number of years. And what would usually happen about 2 or 3 minutes into the conversation about how good Tom Curran was someone would say, you should see how good his younger brother is. Just wait till he plays. And so, number 11 on our list. Sam Curran. Churchy, gonna start with you. An amazing scene when you think about what Sam Curran is now, and how he's played, and who he's played the game at the highest levels on the biggest stages against the best players. And I remember his first class. He wasn't the first class. His T20 debut for Surrey, when he got the train. He went to school in the morning, got the train up to Vauxhall, walked down the Hartford Road in his school uniform to be presented with his Surrey kit when he got there. I mean, incredible. What a career, and what a player, representative of how the game is developing. But just an extraordinary, an amazing player.
Yeah, and sort of, you mentioning Tom there, they're slightly different in what they do. I've always thought that Sam will end up being more of a batter than a bowler, and I still think, again, with him, he's got a future in the red ball stuff in international terms. I think as a batter who can bowl you some very nice overs of left arm when you need it. We broke onto the scene, and I remember his sort of first class debut, championship debut for Surrey. He opened the bowling against Kent and went to Joe Denley, one of the best, away, and then the big inducker in his first over and knocked his middle stump out the ground, and it was another one of those, ooh, hello, this is fun.
Joe Denley as well.
But we've seen what with Sam's career as well. He the white ball stuff, the franchise stuff. He's the all-round package. And he'll always be the all-round package. I think it's interesting for him, career-wise, now that he's captaining Surrey in T20. I think that makes a huge amount of sense as well. But I honestly do think that there is something there for him as a batter in Test cricket, who can then get the ball and bowl you some very useful overs of left arm. He loves batting. When he first started, he used to get overexcited. He said that to me a number of times. You were going so nicely, what happened? I just got overexcited. I was loving it too much. But I think now he's got hundreds under his belt. So but terrific talent.
I'm very lucky to be able to watch every ball that Surrey play here at the Keir Oval, across all formats, but particularly in the Blast. And Curran is visibly one of the clearest thinkers in the game. I think there was a chase this year when him and JB Overton got Surrey over the line. And after the game, Sam was very clear in saying what his game plan was, which was there's one shorter boundary. Either me or Jamie Overton, one left-hander and right-hander, will always have a shorter leg side boundary. We're going to make sure that person is on strike at the right time. I think that's a really clear aspect of his game. In terms of his talent with the bat, I remember being at university and watching the Surrey Gloucestershire One Day Cup final in 2015 with a mate who wasn't really into his cricket, and he couldn't believe that Sam Curran was 17 at the time. Sorry, don't get over the line in that game. but he was absolutely brilliant with bat and ball for so many years for Surrey. And if we do this list in a few years' time, I wonder where he'll be.
I think for me, over the last few seasons, when we first saw Sam, he was predominantly, his role in the team was that left arm seamer, and now, he's so dominant with the bat. He could get into the squad just on his batting performance. But I think the thing that I've really enjoyed seeing about his game, particularly last season and the season before, is even this captaincy role now, he's really enjoying, and he's visibly enjoying the game. He takes a wicket, he does a little dance, and But you can see, as a captain, he's not so uptight when he's playing. He's just really relaxed, and the team follow with him. And they're completely in his hands, and they trust him wholeheartedly. And that, for me, as a captain at his age, is a true sign of just what kind of a leader he has the possibility of being.
Yeah, another shout out to Alex Stewart as well, who again, not dissimilar to saying Ben Foakes, the best wicketkeeper in the world in 2017, always said that Sam Curran is going to end up batting in the top 5. And here we are. We are now at the end. That is the end of episode 3. We had number 16, Dan Worrall, and number 15, Dom Sibley, number 14, Jason Roy, number 13. No, I got all that entirely wrong. At number 15, Dan Worrall, at number 14, Dom Sibley, at number 13, Jason Roy, number 12, Mark Butcher, and number 11, Sam Curran. This was the 25, brought to you by Surrey County Cricket Club. My name's Jon Surtees. I'm with Mark Church, Yaz, Rana, Kirstie White. We'll be back for the next episode where we will take you into the top 10 of the best Surrey men's players of the 21st century. Do come back for the next episode. This was the 25.